degrees, baby. 80 degrees in the underground greenhouse. 100% pure oxygen. That's how we are spending the apocalypse. Okay, so today is March 31st. We're in the underground greenhouse. You can see here that the spaghetti squash is starting to come up, and we planted 2 seeds per section here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave one of these plants in, and I'm going to try to take the other section out, and I'll put it into like a little container like this, and we'll add some more Miracle-Gro soil in there. As you can see, we've taken all of the spaghetti squash and we've separated them, and now they're all in their own separate containers. We're gonna have a ton of spaghetti squash this year. Okay, so now we've transplanted a bunch of the cauliflower, and if you remember from the video a couple weeks ago, these seeds had expired back in 2015, I think. So don't throw away your expired seeds. They might still grow plants. And you can see here, we've got a lot of cauliflower growing. All right, today is April 1st, 2020, and part of having a big garden, like you see back here behind me, is getting mulch and things like that. So today I drove down and got a trailer full of this stuff, and I'm gonna flip the camera around because I think I may have overloaded my trailer, which means I need to get to work on it right away. Okay, so if you look here, you can see the big load. Got my wheelbarrow, my shovel ready to go, but look at this. I think that might have been putting just a little too much pressure on those shocks. Okay, so here's one of the garden boxes. You can see we desperately need more soil in here. And before I start dumping all the soil in here, I probably need to move all this stuff out of the way. Behind me here, I've finished putting 4 heaping wheelbarrow loads of this mulch into garden box number 1. So now I'm just gonna grab a rake really quick and just rake it out nice and smooth. Okay, you can see garden box number 1 has been completed. Doesn't that look beautiful? Okay, so if you look behind me here, you see garden box number 2, and these are my weed-free garden boxes. And so if you look really close, I'll show you here in a second, I'll flip the camera around. I've got a weed barrier or a plastic barrier underneath all of this. And then what I do is I take some 2x4s. There's wood underneath here. And what happens is the water soaks down and goes into the wood, and the moisture stays in the wood pretty good. And this vapor barrier will also help the water stay inside the garden bed. And underneath this vapor barrier, I actually have a plastic barrier as well. So anyways, these are really effective because you don't get all the weeds coming up, but you also, when you water, you don't have to water as much because the water's not seeping all the way down to the ground. It stays in here and soaks into these boards. And then the roots of your plants grow down, and when they touch these boards, they'll actually pull the moisture out of the wood. So it's a pretty cool thing to have. And I've actually done another video that shows you how to make a weed-free garden bed. So be sure to check that out. I'll probably put a link to the video below for your convenience, but you can just check out my YouTube channel to find it. So as you can see, planter box number 2 is done. This one actually took 5 heaping wheelbarrow loads, but it is full and ready to be planted. If you look into this planter box right here behind me, this is my strawberries. And yes, I'm gonna wanna add extra soil here as well, but I'm gonna turn the camera around and show you my little problem. This too is a weed-free garden behind me, but when I flip the camera around, you're gonna see weeds everywhere, and that's because, like an idiot, I put horse manure into this box, and you're not supposed to do that. So do not put horse manure into your weed-free garden boxes. Matter of fact, don't put it into any of your garden boxes. All right, so if you look here, you can see this is my strawberry plant. It will come back. It looks dead right now, but you can see there are weeds absolutely everywhere. So I'm going to need to get in here and pull a bunch of weeds. Here you can see the plastic. It's a nice thick plastic, and that, like I said, will keep the weeds back. Okay, so the next project here in the underground greenhouse, we'll put a weed-free garden box right here in this corner. And I'll flip the camera around to show you. And I know like inside these greenhouses, you don't get a lot of weeds, but we do get some, and I just want to prevent it. So the reason I'm going to do a weed-free garden box in here is because of that. This stuff seems to pop up everywhere. So we want to make sure that is not popping up into our vegetables. Good morning, everybody. It's about 7 a.m. on April 2nd, 2020. And as you can see, there is snow on the ground. It's about 27 degrees outside. And so a lot of people are curious when it's so cold outside how it does inside the greenhouse. So we're gonna step inside the underground greenhouse really quick and check the temperature. See, inside it's about 55 degrees, which is great for all these little plants that are trying to grow in here. You can see here, we'll check more on these later today, but it's also really good for these peach trees and citrus trees. So this is crazy. It is like freezing outside. Like I think it's 40 degrees out there right now, but the sun has been shining all day. And so I came into the greenhouse and look at the temperature inside here. We're past 90 degrees. It is like 92 degrees in here. And I gotta build that weed-free garden bed over there, and it is too hot. So I'm gonna pop open this window right here, and hopefully that cools it off in here. Normally I would just open the door, but I just released all the ladybugs in here like 2 weeks ago, and I don't want the ladybugs to fly away. Okay, so before I get too much into building the weed-free garden bed right in this section here, you'll notice behind me, I took one of my potato bins right here. I'm growing potatoes in there. And I've buried it partially down, and then I mounted the sand up here around it. And that's to kind of help keep the soil cooler and more moist. So if you look over here, you can see I've got another one that's just above ground. And I think what I'll do is really quick, I'm gonna dig this one down even just a few inches before I get started over there. Okay, so you can see I just went just a few inches deep, and if you look right here, you can see roots from our beautiful little orange tree right here. And then you can see here, you got some big roots that go to our lemon tree. So I'm not gonna go any deeper. I'm just gonna slide the bucket into that location, and then we'll just mound the dirt around it, kind of like we did with that bucket there. Here's the hole behind me. Making some progress here. You can see it's not gonna be very big, but I should be able to get some nice stuff going in there. Most Utahns today are snuggled up inside their houses, and I don't know if you can see that, I'm sweating, and I'm not even working that hard, but you can see here, the hole is almost done. So I'll turn the camera around in just a minute when I'm finished cleaning it out. Okay, we're done digging the hole, so I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you what we're looking at. Okay, so here's our garden bed, and the reason I'm taking the effort to make it a weed-free garden bed and put the plastic in there is if you look in here nice and close, you can see these roots in here, and these are weeds. These are from weeds that are growing, so I won't have to deal with these growing in the garden. Filled up 3 buckets plus some, and I've removed all these rocks from this hole. Yeah, you wouldn't think it, but I literally go from melting and sweating like crazy to freezing outside. That wind is frigid, and as you can see here, we got snow on the ground. Well, one thing I love about the greenhouse is I never know what I'm gonna find in here, and there's been a lot of unique creatures to call the greenhouse their home, including a snake last year. But I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you our newest guest, and this one's gonna have to be removed, unfortunately. Okay, well, she's playing dead right now, but she really is alive, and if you look really close, you can see that red hourglass on the bottom. That, my friends, is a black widow. Kind of nasty looking creatures. Okay, so you can see behind me here, I have the 2 pieces of treated wood. I'm gonna stick them together with this corner bracing kit that I got. All right, let's go to town on this baby. Okay, let's get this one on too. Okay, all right, so now you can see these two braces are on here. Now we just need to hook them onto this piece here. Okay, so that's in. That's pretty solid. I might get some longer screws that will go all the way through. The screws I use are pretty small, they're not very long. So I might go get some longer screws that will go all the way through this piece and into this piece from here. Okay, so as you can see, I got some longer screws here. This should really pull this together and hopefully keep it really strong. All right, yeah, that is making a huge difference. Okay, that is not going anywhere now. So this will sit here, and then now I gotta get the plastic and put the plastic down in here. I'm gonna unroll this and place it up the sides and into the bottom, and that should keep the weeds from coming up. I'm making it long enough to come up the side here and long enough to come up the side here. So I'm guessing you'll come right to about here. Wish I had some scissors, but I don't, so I'm just gonna use this knife. As you can see, I've got the plastic laid out everywhere, so now I can throw the dirt in, and then we can secure all these pieces here. And that's a ladybug that just buzzed past me. But anyways, so we're moving on to the next step. Okay, so here's what it looks like inside. And you can see here, I've pre-cut a bunch of 2x4s, and I'm gonna lay them along the bottom first. This thing's pretty full, so my next job will be to secure this wooden piece here. Okay, so I've got this piece here pretty secure. It's not really going anywhere. But just to help secure it even more, I bought these stakes here. So I'm gonna drive a couple of these stakes in just to make sure there's not too much pressure pushing it this way from the inside. Let's see here. Okay, I got one more here. Okay, so now we're gonna add some potting mix. And then we'll mix it together really quick. Okay, that's that. Okay, so now to make it look clean, I'm just gonna take the scissors and I'm gonna cut the plastic right where it meets the top of this wood here. Okay, there you see it, the completed weed-free garden box. And you can see I've cut the plastic around from the edges there, but I left the plastic up here. Yeah, it looks crappy, I know. At some point, I'll remove that. But for now, I'm leaving it because water drips from the ceiling and it'll land on this plastic here and hopefully roll into here and keep things a little bit more moist inside the garden box. It feels so good to finally have my weed-free garden box completed here in the underground greenhouse. Now, I just need to decide what to put in it. Do you have any thoughts? I would love to hear your thoughts. Tell me what I should put in here. Okay, so if you look here, you can see the cucumbers are getting big. I planted 2 seeds per container and all of the seeds have taken. So now I'm gonna do like I did with the spaghetti squash the other day, and I'm gonna take these and split them apart. So hopefully we can get double the cucumber plants. Okay, so I'm on the last one now. You can see I've moved these guys all into their own containers. And I just wanna kind of show you really quick how I do it. So I take a container like this and I kind of put a little hole right here or a crevice so I can put the plant down in here. And then I grab my shovel like this and gently kind of slide it between the two plants. And then I'm going to push up here on the bottom of this thing like that. You can see it's popping up. And just try to get the shovel underneath that corner. And you can see that's a pretty clean grab. You can see all the roots growing right there. And so I'm just going to take it and slide it right into this little groove I've already put in here. And then as I pull the shovel out gently, I'll push the dirt back around it and gently kind of push it down in there. And then just grab a little more soil out of this container here. And voila. I got some more potatoes that we're gonna put in the ground here shortly. These are all the cucumbers that I just planted. Nothing up here on these seeds we just planted, but the ones I planted a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, you can see we have some little onions popping up and some cantaloupe popping up, some little tomatoes. We got our first watermelon growing there. You can see the cauliflower, that's what we separated a few days ago. And we actually have, you can see here, some large tomato plants growing. The squash we separated the other day, and we still don't have anything from the strawberries. I will be pretty bummed if you don't get any strawberries. But the last thing I want to show you really quick is over here in the new garden box, I planted 1 spaghetti squash and 1 cucumber. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. So please write your comments below. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is let this black widow go. I don't really like to kill creatures, so find a nice little spot here and just dump it out.